right. Good morning, everyone. This morning we're going to have just a little bit different of a service. We are going to be taking Aaron Fisher in as a member of Shiloh this morning. So that's going to be part of our service. I also have a video update this morning from Krit in Thailand. So he sent me a video updating how things are going in Thailand, and Maria has also agreed to share a little bit about her experience at camp. And then following that, depending on how much time I have left, I will share a little bit, a short sermon. So the order of the service, just to go over it, I'm going to invite Maria up here to share in just a little bit. And then after she shares, I'm going to come up and start the video from Krit that he sent over. And then after that, I'm going to come forward again and we'll start the membership transfer. I have a couple of paragraphs to read and then invite Aaron to come up and share his testimony, followed by a couple of questions for him and then a response from the congregation. And then we will see what time that takes us to, and I'll share a little bit of a message if I have time for that. So, Maria, are you ready? All right, I'll turn it over to Maria, and then we'll go from there.
Alrighty, good morning, everyone. So I was asked to share a little bit about camp. Bear with me as I share. I wasn't quite sure how to summarize a year and a half of my life into a couple minutes, so hopefully it makes sense to you guys, what I have to say. First, I want to thank all of you for your support while I was there. I really appreciate it. You guys supported me financially, which I appreciated, and also a lot of you guys sent me texts and cards, and I really did appreciate that a lot. And one time that really sticks out to me is when my siblings came and surprised me. Jesse and Darla came and brought a whole bunch of cards and gifts from you guys for my birthday, and I just was so overwhelmed. It was such a blessing. At that point, I was still pretty new and definitely still adjusting, and it meant a lot. So I just want to encourage you to keep doing those things, keep sending cards, texting people that are away. It means a lot to them. So when I left for camp, I decided I never was a person to really journal, but I said while I was at camp, I want to journal. And I had this notebook that said, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart." And so I took this with me as kind of my theme of to remember to trust in the Lord, because for those of you who know me, I'm not the type who loves doing new things and putting myself out there. So going to camp was a bit stretching for me. So it was just good for me to remember to trust in the Lord as I went. For you who don't remember, I went to Fairplay Boys Camp in South Carolina. I don't know how many of you know a lot about camp, so I'll describe it a little bit. It was a camp for troubled boys. At Fairplay, we had 4 groups. Each group could have up to 10 boys in it. So at the most, we'd have 40 boys at camp. And these boys would live out in campsites in the woods. And each group had 2 counselors, 2 guys who would live with them, and we would call them chiefs. And then my job there was, I was there as a cook. I was there for about a year and a half. I ended up staying a little longer. I was there a little longer than a year and a half. And we would cook for the boys Friday through Tuesday. And then on Wednesdays and Thursdays, they would make their own meals down trail and campsite. So that was one thing to get used to. It was a little different. Most people's weeks end on a Friday. As a cook, your week started on a Friday. Kind of run over what my schedule was like. So Wednesday was my day off. Thursdays, we would go do the shopping for the next week, and we would make staff lunch. Friday, I would how it kind of worked is we had 3 cooks, and 2 cooks had to be there every meal. So you either had off for a meal, or you were in charge of the meal, which meant you made all the food for that meal, or you would be in charge of doing the dishes for that meal, which meant you would just show up half an hour before the meal and help the other cook get ready, then you stay after the meal and do the dishes. So on Fridays, I'd off for breakfast. I would do dishes for lunch and supper. Saturday, I had off. I did dishes for breakfast, had off for lunch, and then made supper. And one cool new thing that we started while I was there is we started the tradition of doing Saturday night pizza night. So I got to start that. So every Saturday night, you would find me in the kitchen making pizza for the boys. That was really fun. I think the boys really appreciated that. And then Sundays were a little different. You would either have off all day Sunday, or you would work. So you would work 2 Sundays and then have off a Sunday. So that way, every 3rd Sunday, you would be able to have a day off and go to church. And then the Sundays you worked, you would just go to chapel with the boys. They would have chapel outside in the woods. It was really cool to be able to experience that with the boys too on the days you were working. And then Mondays were probably my busiest day. Mondays I would make breakfast, do lunch dishes, and make supper. So Mondays I spent a lot of the day in the kitchen. And then Tuesdays I did breakfast dishes, and I was in charge of making lunch, and then I would do cleaning. Every Tuesday afternoon we would do cleaning. And one other thing us cooks were in charge of that is kind of overlooked when in orientation they don't tell you about, but you also have to help do the boys' laundry, which is definitely not the glamorous part of the job, but it was good for us to do something a little more dirty. They only got their laundry washed once a week, and they live out in the woods, and so all week long they would just stuff their dirty, wet laundry in a bag, and it would sit there, and then at the end, when their laundry day came up, we would help do that. So that was fun. As cooks, you got some interaction with the boys, not a lot, but we got to, at meal times, each group would send 2 boys in as table setters, and so when those boys came in, we would greet those boys, they would set the table, and then those boys would come and get the food from us. So we had a little interaction with the boys, not a lot, but I definitely, hearing a lot from other staff and stuff, I definitely could tell boys were changing. I mean, in our staff meetings and stuff, we would talk about it, and I know there was different boys I could tell too that through their time at camp, they were changing. I know there were some boys who, when you would greet them at meals, they wouldn't make eye contact with you, and they would just kind of mumble, and the longer you were there, you could see them building up confidence. They became more clear in their talking. They would look at you, and so it was really cool to see that. And I know, boys, camp definitely made a lot of difference in boys' lives, and it was cool to be there and kind of be a part of that. And another thing I did while I was at camp that most cooks won't get to experience is they decided to do a chuck wagon remodel while I was there. And I heard about it, and I was really hoping it would happen after I leave, but it happened this past spring when I was still there. And so that meant that the boys could not eat in chuck wagon. Thankfully, we were still able to use the kitchen, but the boys had to eat over in the shop. So I think the remodel lasted about 7 weeks. So for about 7 weeks, we would have to prepare all our food and then take it in a golf cart over to the shop where the boys were eating, and then bring all the dirty stuff back at every single meal. And it actually wasn't as bad as it initially sounded, but I'm sure we looked quite funny. The maintenance man made this contraption for us to keep all our food in, and I'm surprised we didn't lose any food, because there was days where we would take serving bowls full of chicken noodle soup in this golf cart, and this wasn't like a level drive. You had to go up, down a hill, and I think the Lord was with us because we were able to feed the boys at every meal. We didn't lose too much. I mean, a few things flew off the back, but normally we could recover it. And so that was an interesting experience for us. And the Lord was so faithful to me in my time at camp, and I don't know how to put it all into words, but I have this one little story. It might seem kind of silly to you guys, but of just the Lord watching out for me and encouraging me. And so as a cook, obviously your food to other people won't understand it, but your food is a big deal to you. Like, if your food's good, and like, because that's your job, is serving these boys food. So if something's wrong, like, it feels like a big deal to you. Anyway, often, whenever Jesse would call and ask how camp's going, he'd always want to know if there's a big kitchen failure he could hear about, like we flopped some food. And I normally, it was disappointed him. Honestly, for the most part, things turned out pretty well. But there was one time, well, actually this happened more than once, several times where I would make food for meals that I thought was terrible, but you don't just throw food out. Like, you shopped for that food, you made the food, you normally serve it unless it's completely unedible. And there was several times where I would make food that I thought was terrible, and then sometimes they allowed the boys to give thank you notes at the end of the meals for things, and I would get a note specifically from a boy saying he liked that food. And one time, I have a specific time, I made it was a Boston cream poke cake. And so it was like cake, and then you put pudding, and then you put a chocolate layer on top that's kind of supposed to harden a little bit. And I did it wrong, and the chocolate layer stayed completely runny. The whole dessert looked terrible, and I was so humiliated, and remember fussing to the other girls, like, this is terrible, I can't believe I have to serve this, but I don't know what else I'm gonna do. Anyway, so I served it, it was all fine, and at the end of the meal, I get a note from one of the boys in one of the groups, and he says, it said, the dessert was scrumptious, especially the chocolate. And I remember, like, reading that, and I was like, did he overhear me in the kitchen fussing? Like, how did he know? So that is just one of the small ways, an example of how God was there. He encouraged me. I remember that was a really bad day, and then that happened at the end of the day, and I was just like, wow. Yeah, it was really cool. So I also, moving on to kind of what life was like otherwise, I lived in a trailer there on camp property with two other girls. I lived with my co-cook and then the one secretary, and then the head cook and the other secretary lived in another house on camp property. But it was just walking distance from Wagon, so we lived pretty much right there in the little camp bubble. We had the supervisors' houses were right around us. One thing I really loved about camp is that, well, when I first moved there, it took some adjustment, but I did really love it then, is that we did not have any cell service there on camp property for the most part. You could get a little spotty service, and we did not have any Wi-Fi. And it was so good to just be able to not have to worry about that and focus on building relationships and just avoiding that distraction. Halfway through my term, we did get Wi-Fi in Wagon, so that was nice for things too, but that was one thing I really loved about my time there. And just also, a huge thing for me was building relationships with the other staff. I loved living with two other girls, and they became kind of like sisters to me. Thankfully, yeah, I got blessed to live with two girls that I got along with really well, and we became really good friends. Not to say we didn't have our differences. It was definitely a growing experience to learn how to figure out life with someone who grew up very different than you. But working through that was really good to do. And so kind of some of my camp takeaways, I was trying to look back and think, what did I learn from camp? And it's really hard to put in words or to realize how I grew as a person, but I know I did. Camp was so good for me. It helped me a lot, and I made really good friendships, and just learning how to work through friendships that weren't as easy too, because you had to live and work with these people. That was good for me. I feel like looking back, I became better at expressing my feelings with other people. It's funny because that's why the boys are there. The boys do group therapy and they talk out their feelings, and I look back and I think, oh, I think I got better at that too while I was there. And a huge thing for me too was learning to depend on God through all the change. One thing about camp is there is a lot of change. The staff is changing all the time, and I am the type of person, I do not like change at all. And different times people ask me like, oh, like, why don't you stay at camp longer? Or like, would you consider going back? And yeah, maybe, but the change would be dealing with that change over and over again would get quite exhausting for me. When my co-cook, so half of my term I was there with one co-cook, and then it switched halfway through my term to a different co-cook. And that was a really hard transition for me because I got really close to the first girl. And so just other changes happened, COVID happened, a lot happened while I was at camp. And I learned that you have to depend on God through everything, because your situation, your circumstances, the people in your life can change. But learning the importance of depending on God through it all. And one verse that meant a lot to me at camp was Romans 15:13. It says, "May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in him, so that you may overflow with hope by the power of the Holy Spirit." I just remember really realizing the importance of hope in your life as a Christian, and that verse meant a lot to me. And in closing, I just want to thank you guys also for your role in my life as I moved home. I felt very much welcome back in here at church, and I really appreciate that. It's been really good to have things to plug into, like the kids club, and also right after I moved back, you guys did that Wednesday night series on prayer, and that was like perfect timing. That is exactly what I needed in my life, just having something else to focus on, having prayer to focus on. So it's been really, it's good to be back, and I want to thank you all for what you did in my life. So thank you for your time.
All right, thank you, Maria. Seems like at Shiloh we have a lot of opportunities of sending people out into the mission field, and that's a good thing, I believe. Sometimes I wonder, but no, we appreciate everyone that follows the call of the Lord and goes out into serving. Before I start the video that Crit sent. Crit is over in Thailand with GTO, and GTO has a document called Serving as Senders, and I'd like to read a paragraph out of that. I think it ties in with all of the people that we have, members that we have going out and serving in other communities and other countries. It says, GTO deeply values the continued involvement of the sending church and will not assume the church's responsibility. You as the sending church will continue to being responsible for your worker, and the worker will continue being responsible to you. GTO desires to be a resource to you and your worker and strives to do all we can to help your worker thrive. You as the sending church, GTO as the sending agency, and your worker as the one being sent can form a threefold cord that is not quickly broken. That comes from Ecclesiastes 4:12. And then they have several different, 6 different ways to support workers that go into the mission field. One is prayer support. So we can support the people that are in missions at other locations, other countries, by praying for them. They also have moral support, provide spiritual, emotional, and moral well-being, and being an encourager. Communication, keep the worker connected with the sending church, share them news and needs of the sending church. Logistics, there's things that can't be done or very difficult to do from abroad in different countries. Tax returns. Do they have a car when they come home? Do they have a place to stay if they're coming home on furlough? And some things like that are difficult, so we can help with that. Financially, we can help with their financial needs so that they can focus on serving the Lord where they're at. And then also when it comes time to come back, helping them to re-entry back into the church. Again, what does that look like? It's difficult. Oftentimes difficult when you're gone for an extended period of time, to find your place again back at your home church. I experienced that myself serving 2 years at Bald Eagle camp, very similar to the camp that Maria was at, that you're gone for 2 years and you come back and you almost don't know, do you belong, where do you belong, how do you belong? So helping people as the workers as they come home to come back and feel like they're a part of the church. So just thought I'd share that with you before I share the video that Crit sent over. So I'm going to try to get this started.
Yeah, I'm glad I have this opportunity again to just tell you about what's going on here in southern Thailand. And yeah, so I'll give you all a bit of an update here. I think the last time I updated was a bit before Christmas last year. Yeah, so Christmas of 2020, a little bit before Christmas of 2020. And so yeah, Christmas is one of our busiest times of the year here. And yeah, we just have, like, we host a lot of Christmas parties here at Shiloh. And so yeah, it's just a bit of a crazy time for us. I think we hosted about 5 or 6 Christmas parties in 1 week, just to try. We invite a bunch of different students from the university here for Christmas parties, and then we have to kind of coordinate when people come for parties and stuff. But yeah, it's a crazy time, crazy busy time. But it's fun, but definitely need some rest after that. So right over that time, just a little bit after Christmas, here in Thailand, COVID spiked again, and there was a big outbreak near Bangkok, and so the country kind of panicked. Panicked for sure. And so yeah, it was kind of hard to travel again. Mostly they kept the country open, or like travel open, until New Year's. So we some of us here quickly got a trip into Krabi, Thailand. It's about 5 hour drive from here. So it's a nice little beach town, and I was able to get a nice little vacation in after our busy Christmas. That was good. It was refreshing, and it was very needed after our busy Christmas. Anyway, and so just different things that we've been working on the last, or I guess finishing up during this semester. About a month ago, we finished up our English club for this semester. Went really well. I think we had approximately between 10 and 15 students most evenings for our English club. So that was fun. Lately I've been playing a lot of sports with students. Usually play basketball a couple days per week. I don't know, I love playing sports, and so it's it's a great way for me to get to know people and interact with people. I think that's probably one of my favorite things about here is that it's like there's language barriers and there's all those kind of things, but that's a way that I can connect with people here is playing sports. Mostly I play basketball, but people here like to play badminton a lot too, so I get into that a little bit. It's been good. Sometimes it seems like it's a little bit of a hard transition from playing sports with people and then trying to share your faith through that. So that can be a little bit of a hard transition, especially people here don't know the gospel at all. They're not Christians. A lot of them never heard about Jesus, so to make that transition can be a bit difficult. Other things that I've been working on here, the last month I've been shooting videos for a promotional video for our English Center here, and shooting and editing a promotional video. So that was a good experience. I've had to learn a lot about video editing software and that kind of stuff. So that was fun. yeah, it was a good learning experience for me. And then also coffee shops about to open here. We're hoping to open at the end of this month. So yeah, we have our baristas hired now and trained, but our baristas are still practicing with different menus and drinks and stuff like that. So yeah, that's basically what's been happening here. It's been busy. I'm teaching right now. I'm teaching 3 days per week. So yeah, have teaching. You know, I don't know. Just schedules here are nothing compared to what they are in the States. So back in the States, I was used to, you go to work, or I went to work from a full day, and you knew what your day was going to be like. But here, you might have Thai class for an hour or 2 in the morning, and then have an appointment with someone for an hour, then teach for a couple hours in the afternoon, and then it's like a lot of different schedule here. Is like you have a bunch of little different things that you do throughout the day. So yeah, it's good. It just takes a lot to get used to that kind of schedule. So yeah, that's basically what's been happening here. Prayer requests that I have here. Yeah, a lot of students here come with a lot of broken families, just rough stories. Students with some pretty rough stories, and so people come here with a lot of baggage sometimes, and wisdom to know how to relate to students who are having problems. Sometimes their problems come from their families or just general mental health. And, so yeah, it can be difficult to know how to relate, and so you can pray for that we know how to relate to those people. And we have some students who are also studying the Bible right now. So yeah, you can pray that they're studying with people here from our center. So you can pray that their eyes will be open to the truth, and that they desire truth. So yeah, for a lot of them, having God or believing in a supreme being is a new concept for them. So you can pray for them. And yeah, another thing you can pray for is just a coffee shop opening, the last minute details, decorations, all that kind of stuff that need to come together yet. So yeah, you can pray that that will all go well. So yeah, and a few other needs that we have here is just energy. You can pray for energy. There's many days where I'm I don't have energy to do this because I did that last week and the week before and the week before and the week before. And so I don't have energy to do that tonight. And so yeah, it can get pretty tiring. So yeah, you can pray that we could have energy to interact with the people that come here. Another need that I have also lately, my budget has been more than the money that's coming in. So that's another need. And if you want to give or a one-time donation or even a small recurring donation would be great. But yeah, you can pray about that. And so that's just one of the needs or a few needs that we have here. So like I said, I appreciate all of your support, especially your prayer support, because that's still at the end of the day, it's the prayers especially that they come back and give you energy and those kind of things. So I just appreciate the support that I feel from the church, and I hope to see you guys sometime sometime, maybe in the next year. I don't know. I hope so. I just recently passed my 1 year mark here already, so time keeps moving right along, and God's been good. But yeah, I miss people back home. I miss the church there, and yeah, hope to see you all again soon. Thank you.
Okay. It's good to hear update from him. I've been keeping in contact with him via email and messenger and things like that. He does have, you mentioned there at the end, he does have several, he has a rental property or two here that he was hoping that the income from his houses that he's renting out would cover his cost of living, and he said it doesn't quite do that every month. So he did mention there if someone wants to give a one-time donation or sign up a small amount to sponsor him each month, you can talk to Jesse, and he'll see that gets to Crit. So yeah, that takes us into the next part of the service. And let me get to the right document here. So in addition to taking Aaron in as a member this morning, I just want to mention that we did transfer a couple of members from our congregation to other congregations. Darla Hackman had her membership transferred to Oasis Mennonite Fellowship, I believe it's called, and John and Fanny asked to have their membership transferred to the congregation in New York where they're attending. So both of those, well, John and Fanny and Darla, we transferred their membership out. So this morning we are receiving Aaron into this congregation by reaffirmation of faith and commitment to Shiloh Mennonite Church. This is a public ceremony to recognize his desire to make a commitment to be accountable to and to participate in the body of Christ locally here at Shiloh Mennonite Church. We recognize his previous act of repentance and believer's baptism at Word of Life Mennonite Church. Based on the testimony of his faith and expressed desire to commit to membership at Shiloh, we want to invite him to become part of the church. Aaron, if you want to come up, I have a couple of questions for you after you share your testimony there.
Good morning. This morning I was reading in my Bible in Psalm 70, part of verse 4 says, "Let God be magnified." So I guess that's my prayer, that my testimony could be, that God could be magnified through that. And yeah, I would encourage other people to follow the Lord. Yeah, trying to summarize my testimony or life story, it was hard to think about where to start and stop, so just bear with me as I jotted down some notes. I guess in February of 2011, I went on I went on my first mission trip abroad to Haiti for about 10 days. It was very eye-opening time for me, spiritually and many other ways, and that had a great impact on me that led me to my salvation. It was later that year in September that I finally invited Christ in my heart. Around that time in my life, I was searching and simply tired of living in sin and knowing I would go to hell if I had died. I have made many bad choices in my youth. Some were being rebellious and disobedient to my parents. Others were lusts of the flesh, sexual sins, drinking alcohol, and that often led to even more bad decisions. Today I praise Jesus for how he has worked in my life. I had many hard times in my life that I wouldn't want to go through again, but wouldn't trade the world for what God has taught me in those times. In those times, Proverbs 3 verses 5 and 6 became one of my favorite Bible verses. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Thank you for the Shiloh ministry and what you've all done in my life, and look forward to serving here and being part of congregation and the church family here at Shiloh.
All right. Based on your testimony, Aaron, do you reaffirm your commitment as a follower of Jesus and his global and eternal kingdom?
Yes.
Can you affirm your commitment to the 1963 Confession of Faith and the Shiloh Members' Covenant?
Yes.
Will you at this time commit yourself wholeheartedly to the life of Shiloh Mennonite Church, sharing in the fellowship, witness, and work of the congregation as the Lord gives you grace?
Yes, I will.
I'd like to ask the congregation to stand in acceptance to Aaron being received into membership. And let's pray. God, thank you for this morning. I thank you for Aaron and his public commitment to you and also to our congregation here at Shiloh. God, I pray that you would continue to work in Aaron's life and to continue to draw him closer to you and show you yourself to him. I just pray for the congregation here as we accept Aaron into our fellowship. Help us to come alongside of him and to support him and care for him. Bless his work here as he can share with us in sharing the gospel and your love for the lost around us. Just go with us through the rest of this service in Jesus' name. You may be seated. You may be seated. I don't have a lot of time until it's time to transition into Sunday school. But there was a couple things that I thought about as I thought about church membership, and I started thinking about what does membership look like. And I thought, how many of you are members of something? Costco, you name it. What is membership? Why do we become members of something? Anyone? Why do we become members of Costco, or why do we become members of? I have a Gold's Gym membership. What does that mean? Why do I become a member? Anyone? Why do we become members?
Being part of a community.
Being part of a community? Anyone else? Benefits. Is there any cost involved with being a member? Commitment? So I started looking down over this list. I looked at Costco because, you know, Costco is, you know, there's memberships at Costco, Sam's Club, you name it. And, you know, there's varying levels of membership at Costco. So you can be a Gold Star member. It costs you $60. Get in the door, I guess you get, I'm not a Costco member, so I don't know exactly what $60 would get me if I was a Costco member. So that's your first level of membership at Costco. You can get in the door, you can buy things at a discounted price in large amounts and take them home and stick them in your basement. For the same $60, you can become a business member. As a business member, you are allowed to purchase for resale. So I guess if you have a personal membership, all that stuff that you put in your basement, you're not allowed to sell on eBay. I don't know. But if you become a business member, you can purchase for resale. You provide them your tax ID number and you can purchase for resale. And you also have access as a business member to additional cards. So if I have a business and Dave works for me, I can give Dave a card and he can go in and purchase under my membership. And then when you become an executive member, it costs you $120, but you have 2% cash back on everything that you buy. So different levels of membership, different costs involved, give you different levels of benefits. I am a member of Mr. Car Wash Unlimited Wash Club over here in Shillington. And they have 4 different packages. You can do an exterior package for $23.95 a month. You can do the Platinum exterior package for $33.95 a month. And then you can do interior package for $59 and a Platinum interior for $69. So $23 a month gives you an exterior wash with a wheel cleaner. If you go up to the Platinum interior for $69 a month, you get a Platinum Seal, Hot Shine Carnauba Wax T3 Wheel Polish, Repel Shield Tire Shine, Underbody Wash, T3 Conditioner, Interior Clean and Vacuum. For the Platinum interior membership, but it's going to cost you $46 more than just the standard exterior package. So you have benefits, but you also have cost involved with membership. Benefits and perks. And generally, the greater the cost, the greater the level of benefits. How does that relate to church membership? The more you put in the plate as it goes around for offering, the higher level of benefits you get as a member. I don't think that works that way at this church. Maybe some churches. Buy your way into the elite. But as I looked at that, I thought about some other memberships, and I was looking at membership to Weight Watchers. And they have a relatively low cost of membership. You can join them starting for $3.38 a week, and you get an award-winning app that puts self-guided weight loss at your fingertips. So for $3.38 a week, you have an app. So it's a pretty much low cost of membership. But what is the actual cost? What is the actual investment into a Weight Watchers membership? Is that $3.38 a week going to help you lose your weight and get to your goal that you want to reach? Because if that's the case, I'll sign up today. If it just costs me $3.38 a week to lose a couple pounds, sign me up. Right? They have a new digital 360 package for $461 a week, and you get coaches, community, and live and on-demand experiences. And then for $11.54 a week, you have unlimited workshops. But again, very low cost of membership, $11 a week. But if you don't choose to invest more than that $11 a week, and you don't choose to follow the plan, and you don't put some kind of effort into that other than the money, the benefits are not going to come. And I think that's a little bit how church membership is. You know, this morning Aaron got up and he answered 3 questions. He's going to participate. He's going to accept the responsibility to the community. He's going to, forget exactly how that's worded. I should probably memorize it. But there are certain things to becoming a church membership that are the basics. It's the $3.38 a week. But if that's all we put into it, can we expect to get a lot out of it? Do we just show up on a Sunday morning and sit in our spot, in our pew, at our bench, our normal spot, and not really do anything else? We can do that. We're not required to do any more than that as a church member. But then what kind of a return do we get on that investment? Or are we coming and we're teaching and we're participating in the other services, prayer meeting, helping teach on Tuesday nights, Bible study on Thursday night with Dave and some of the other guys that are here? I would like to challenge you that the more we put into our church membership, the more we invest into being a part of the congregation, the better return we will have and the more blessings we will have as being part of the church. What do you expect from church membership? And does your level of commitment or investment show that? So it's just as we talked about membership and came up with and brought Aaron in to be a new member, I just was challenged with that thought of church membership and how does that look and what do we expect from that. And I'd just like to leave you with that challenge this morning. Going right along with church membership, we are planning on starting a new believers baptism class starting on April the 11th, I believe it is. It's the second Sunday in April. So we plan on having a new believers class. Will take place during Sunday school for anyone that wants to join that. And then there's 12 lessons, so that gives us about 3 months of class, give or take a little bit. So we're probably looking at doing baptism then sometime in July or August. So if anyone's interested in joining that new believers class and either just to learn more about Anabaptists and the way we do things, or in the towards baptism, we'd be glad to have you part of that. Talk to one of the ministry team here, and we'll see that you get included in future announcements about that. At this time, I will turn it over to the moderator.